Welcome to episode 5 of the Hangin with Gannon podcast. I'm Pat Gannon, your host and your lender for life with 26 years of helping families secure their dream homes through intelligent financing. And you must know by now, we are on all platforms wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribing to our podcast helps us out and gets you the new episodes as soon as they post. The full podcast, along with our social media clips, can be found on our YouTube channel. As well, if you fully subscribe, that will put you in the Hanging with Gannon inner circle. Ooh. And of course, who doesn't want to be in the inner circle? Before we meet our guest today, I got to just share a quick story that happened to me last night. But before I get into that, I got to go back a moment. A couple weeks ago, my daughter, Hope, who a lot of you may know, she's 21 years old, and she got a cold sore and on her lip, and it was DEFCON 3 in the household, and I, being the wonderful dad that I am, I gave her a hard time about it. And I said, come on, Hope, get over it. It's just a little thing. No one will notice. Well, last night, right before this, I was playing pickleball, as you know, I love to do, and ball got hit, and somehow the paddle ended up running into my forehead. Hopefully they don't zoom in too closely on it. But literally in the middle of the game, my immediate thought was, crap. I'm going to have a big bump on my head for this podcast. So, Hope, if you're listening, it was my fault. I made you this. I made you this way. It's not your mom. Well, today I'm thrilled to introduce someone I've had the privilege of working closely with since the very beginning of her real estate career. Heather Giovango of Coldwell Banker Church Circle. Since earning her license in 2019, Heather has become a top 3% agent in the region and a respected leader at one of Annapolis' busiest and most competitive offices, Coldwell Banker Church Circle, where being a church circle girl means you're trusted, knowledgeable, and known for getting deals across the finish line the right way. I worked alongside Heather for her first transaction to her most recent, and I've seen firsthand how her negotiation skills, strategic thinking, and genuine care truly elevate the client experience. Over the past 6 years, we built not just a great partnership, but a shared commitment to making a real difference in people's lives. Heather brings heart, expertise, and a level of professionalism that sets the standard in our market. I'm excited to have her here today. Heather, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Pat. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm going to go off script just a little bit because I get emotional with these kind of things as I listen to that. You're right. From my first deal to 6-7 years later, you've helped me shape who I am and how I serve my clients. So sincerely, thank you for being the lender that you are. And we'll get more into that, but also the impact that you've had on my life and my clients' lives. So
well, that really means a lot. And, we have a lot of these talks. I feel like our conversations, our podcasts, every time we talk, right? And now we just happen to be doing... The other people are hearing us talk about it, so we'll see. Maybe we got to keep some of the stuff we talk about maybe off the podcast. But
I'll try not to cuss.
Heather, your path to becoming one of the top agents in our region wasn't a straight line, and that's part of what makes you so exceptional. I would love for you to share for our audience your background, where you grew up, and what led you into the wonderful world of real estate.
Well, thanks so much. I didn't always grow up thinking I want to be a realtor, right? So I was just a kid born in Colorado. So I kind of have that like Midwest heart and build. Uh-huh. But then at about 6-7, we moved to upstate New York, where there's not a lot of economy at the time.
Yep, sure.
Late 70s. I lived in a log cabin that we plucked the lumber from our plot with. But that really taught me like resilience and tenacity, and I think those are winning attributes. Fast forward, I moved to Annapolis when I was about 15, 16, and I went from a school that was K through 12 in upstate New York,
sure.
Less than 500 students, to a class with 500 students in it.
Wow.
I mean, my graduating class had 473, I believe. But really, it was a little culture shock. It was a little scary, but that kind of blends really nicely into what I do today too, right? Because it showed me that community and connection and heart really make a difference in how you show up and how you can show up for others and the impact that you can have there. So fast forward 30 years, I'm married, I have 3 amazing children. I'm working in my favorite job ever. And I got some news that changed my life, and I'm not quite ready to divulge all of that yet. But let's just say that, the impact that it had on me at the time was super scary. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what the future looked like. And now sitting here and looking back, I'm so grateful for that challenge and that shitstorm.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Because, I was in the Annapolis Senior High parking lot, and I met an old friend, Jack Paglianti, who was my first broker. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm kind of in between jobs." And we did some talking. I thought that I'd go into his office and help him create some standard operating procedures, create some educational material, and help his business thrive, because that's what I was good at, is like helping others.
That's when I first met you. I think you were in that role for Jack, right?
100%,
With
yes.
Jack.
And I'm grateful every day for that chance meeting in the parking lot, because I went in and I realized that I loved what I saw in real estate, and I loved how Jack and his team could help people, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I did. I got my license, and he's still an important part of how I conduct my business every day. I'm grateful for it, even if I'm
Great
not
man.
at that.
Jack's a great man.
Yeah. Even if we're not at that same brokerage, I still lean into him every now and then for tips and tricks. But here I am 6 years later. Like you said, I have been recognized in real estate. I'm grateful every day. I have folks that trust me with some of the biggest decisions of their life, and sometimes I sit back and go, "What, are you crazy?"
Yeah, right.
But then when I reflect upon it, I think that it has all of those things that brought me from a little kid in Colorado to upstate New York to Annapolis: diversity and change and being fluid and being able to move with what's important. Those things all are reflected in my business today too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you talk about it, and I think about it as well. For the most part, probably 99% of the people we work with, this is the biggest transaction, financial transaction. And you say, well, I can't imagine. I'm shocked that they, that us helping them do that. But the reason that you're so good at what you do is that you care, and you're understanding, and you're able to understand what they're trying to accomplish, and you're able to help them reach that goal.
Yeah, I mean, home ownership is the dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've come away from that just a little bit when we talk more about kind of what our market is doing today and first-time home buyers, the average age of first-time home buyers, how that's kind of shifted and changed. But I think more than anything, it's important to me that I have the knowledge and skills to be able to answer the questions.
Yeah.
But the relationships with folks like you for those things that are outside of my realm, right?
Yeah.
I need to know a little bit about a lot of things, but I also need to partner with experts that will have the answers that I won't have, that have a different knowledge base than I have. So I don't know what our question was, Pat, but the biggest choice. And I take it seriously.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not selling sunset. I'd love to, wear those dresses and walk in those heels.
This is the real world.
But it's the real world.
We're in the real world.
We get into crawl spaces and we jump from spiders and.
Well, so being an Annapolis native, how do you think growing up here gives you an edge for your clients?
Sure. I had a friend recently move to Alabama, and when they moved to Annapolis, they worked with a realtor. This is before I was ever a realtor. And they wanted a home in Annapolis, but that person was from like Howard County area.
Right.
And so they didn't understand kind of the special nuances of community by community.
Yeah.
Who has water privileges? Where can I keep my boat? What if I want to walk to a coffee shop? So I think growing up here, and Annapolis is, quite a wonderful and special little place, but it gives you the insight to really listen to what your client needs and be able to pinpoint the areas that you can start looking in. And sometimes those things change. Yeah. But you've got to know
you know about the change because you're here and you understand that, and understanding that, well, you can't. You can look at stuff analytically with numbers and comps. Everyone can do that and pull that up. But the understanding that, well, if you're on this side of the street, that's different than being on that side of the street because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And someone that's just looking at the numbers wouldn't quite understand it and wouldn't be giving the proper advice that their clients need. So understanding the areas
and our
paramount.
Traffic patterns, with people
Everything.
travel to work, one neighborhood just 5 minutes away from another could impact your travel time 15 to 20 minutes depending upon when you leave. So I think that, growing up here, it allows you into some of the wonderful things that we have from a tourist perspective to offer to people that want to come visit, but it also allows you the ins and outs of knowing we can get to the mountains and to the city and have great restaurants and have quiet little places. So I feel very fortunate that this is where I landed.
Well, you're, and we talked a lot about you're, really proud and happy of the neighborhood that you live in, Hillsmere Shores, for 20 years. So why did you choose that neighborhood, and why have you stayed?
Yeah, so I'm a Christian. I really think it was the hand of God that put me there.
Yeah.
The market that we purchased in was similar to the market that we've had over the past couple of years, where we had lost out. I think we bid on 3 or 4 houses before we found ours. And my agent at the time, who's now my neighbor, Teresa Dennison, she's amazing. I called her and said, hey, we found a house we want to buy. And she was an hour and a half away. And she said, you haven't even looked at it. Are you sure you want to put an offer?
Right.
But I knew how special Hillsmere was. And that was basically from moving here as a teenager.
Yeah.
We lived on the other side of town. But all of my friends were in Hillsmere, and we would walk to Powell Park, and we would play basketball and things like that. So the thing that I love about it, that you just don't even know that you're in this space where people go outside and meet their neighbors. We've had block parties. My husband worked overnight at the time, so my neighbors have played the Tooth Fairy. Not played, helped the Tooth Fairy make good decisions.
Help, yes, of course.
When we weren't there to make sure the kids were on the school bus, they were there.
Right.
So just the sense of pride in relationships is something that's super strong in Hillsmere.
Yeah.
Then couple that with the fact that we have a swimming pool. So my kids got to be Hillsmere Hammerheads growing up. They'll tell you that I forced them to be. In the moment, I really do believe they loved it.
Yeah. You're right.
Again, it gives you a sense of
they're telling stories. They're memories they'll never forget.
There's a library at the end of the street.
Yeah.
You're on the South River. Yeah. There's diversity of types of housing. You can get anything from 400 to 500,000 up to 3 million. So it's really just a wonderful place to be. Plus, you're minutes from downtown. There's just a lot of special things about Hillsmere, and I personally think it's the very best neighborhood to live in the community, but I think there's a lot of great ones out there.
This is, I thought in our conversations and research for this podcast, I found something interesting. You're an International President's Circle status. Explain to our listeners a little bit more about what that is, because that's a little bit different. Normally you hear about real estate agents, I've won these awards, but this is something different. Tell us a little bit more about this and maybe how that helps you be a better real estate agent.
So I left, what's the corporate world, right? Mm-hmm. Where, as you progressed in your career, you went up a level in flooring,
Yep.
But what I found when I got into real estate is that the business acumen was not there for a lot of agents. Mm-hmm. It's pretty easy to become a realtor. You take a course, you pay a couple $1,000s, all of a sudden you're a realtor. Right. And then what, right? So when I think about the President's Circle, and of course, I can't get there without clients trusting me, but it's really just setting a goal. And so when I first started, I worked with just the law of averages. I looked at what the average sales price was, what the average sales were for first year agents.
Right.
And then I set a goal. And it was really just to have one closing a month. I still think that's a great goal.
Yeah.
But, reaching this status, and I did reach it again this year, but I felt unless someone wants to buy a home in the next 2 weeks, and feel free to call me.
Are we listening?
Yep. I'm going to fall short of my goal by about $500,000, which is about one house in our area. And so getting to your goal, you have to set one. You have to find paths to get there. You're going to be knocked off of those paths, and you're going to have to forge through another way. But really, it's just a matter of every day deciding whether I would hire or fire myself, or how I need to read, learn who I need to add to my network to make sure that I am being the best resource for my clients and for those in our neighborhoods. So really, it's just a matter of loving what you do, but plotting a path to reach your goals by helping others reach their goals.
You can't just stay status quo, because eventually, you can't. Well, I do it this way, and this is the way it works, and you always have to be constantly evolving. I think
reflecting and realigning.
And I mean, I'm always looking at that. We always, every quarter, certainly at the end of this year, I'm looking with my team saying, all right, we do a great job, but how do we make it even better? Like, where are the areas that we're falling short, and how do we fix those things and make the experience like no other experience a client's ever had?
When I said that I left my dream job, that job was in a healthcare space where I helped medical professionals and others really focus in on the patient experience. So I was able to just parlay that into kind of my client experience and really be fully in charge of the process, because I get to pick who I get to work with as well. And we'll talk more about how partners really make up, how you roll. But I feel really fortunate to be able to put that all together. And I couldn't have done that like in my early 20s.
Right.
It's a matter of timing and racing to get there.
Everything happens for a reason. The next question I want to ask you, and I think it's just, I love to think about branding and talking about branding.
The hashtag?
The hashtags, or whatever goes in there. I think your brand, Heather Makes It Happen, is the best motto that I can think of. Where did it come from, first of all? And give us maybe a story that embodies that motto.
Yeah, so, I cannot take credit for Heather Makes It Happen. I had a great marketing helper when I started in my business, Deb Leopold. She's still a dear friend and advisor. And she came up with that hashtag. Yeah. And then, of course, my kids made fun of me for it, but then their friends started to like it, and they wanted it on their bags. And I was like, okay, this is kind of fun and kind of cool, right? But the truth is that, real estate's not magic. We watch some of these shows and we think, oh, that's an easy thing. Yeah. But the Heather Makes It Happen, while I embody it, I also have been thinking about it lately. And really, it's like I make it happen because of the relationships that I have, because of the clients that choose me and listening to their dreams are. But it's just a matter of, being calm under pressure, being solutions oriented, really being able to think outside the box when you need to, being able to communicate to your clients that everything's going to be okay. If we A, B, and C, you have to back that up with knowledge. So really the Heather Makes It Happen is just being patient and tenacious, but also really focused on helping my clients meet their goals, period.
Incredible. I love it.
I don't know that I gave you a good example.
No, that was great. I thought it was great. All right, let's go back into. I want to talk more about our market. Okay. I want to talk about Annapolis and Arundel County specifically. Just when anyone thinks about Annapolis, they think about boating. They think about sailing, the sailing culture, the Naval Academy presence. How do those things shape the real estate market here?
Golly. Yeah, so people that don't live in Annapolis, they think something totally different about our little town until they come to visit it. Because we're kind of like this little town feel, but we're a pretty big city overall. Yeah, sure. And the amount of tourists that come to our area is very fortunate for the business that we're in, right?
Right.
I think we get like 6 million unique visitors a year or something.
Wow.
I'm not... Fact check me.
We will. We have a fact checker.
Please. But when I heard that number, whatever it is, I was astonished, right? The Naval Academy brings so much of that. The sailing industry brings so much of that. And what you find when you're dealing with clients that want to be here is that you're not really just selling a home. You're selling a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that, especially in our area, the proximity to water, and I think we might talk about this a little bit more, makes a difference in what you're going to spend. Is it walkable? What do you love to do, and how can we help you be able to achieve that more often with the least amount of challenge to get there? So our town, some of the hottest little neighborhoods like Murray Hill and Eastport and any place that has high water access, we have limited inventory in those places and things move very quickly. So you've got to be able to know how to advise your clients when they see something that they love and how to be sure that your clients are ready to make that offer if that home comes up right then and there. So it's just a matter of being prepared. And when it comes to the Naval Academy, I think of it does help the stability of our home values, but it also gives me great pride in kind of working with military folks. I know you and I have done a lot of that in the past. And I think, I'm a mom of 3, and I think there's a lot of things going on in our world right now, from politics and the whole COVID kind of thing and real and fake news and all of those things. But, when you get to work with the military on a daily basis, you see the sacrifices that they make and their families make.
Yes.
So that I can do a podcast with you, so that I can read a book, so that I can cuss without going to jail.
Right.
I mean, all of our freedom. So the proximity of where we are is never lost on me, and I hope that for my children, because that's my most important job, right? That it's never lost on them either. When I look at military families, I'm proud that my grandfather served, my husband's father served. My grandfather's actually one of 22, and he may have stolen his brother's ID and joined the Army well before he was of age.
Age eligible, yeah.
But
my grandfather did the same thing.
Did he?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, he the Merchant Marines. He went with somebody, Hans or Franz. There was his one buddy who wanted to join the Merchant Marines, and
it's a good friend.
He wasn't old enough. My grandfather went. I mean, I don't think there were fake IDs there, but somehow he purported that he was of age to go on the Merchant Marines. His friend Hans chickened out, didn't go. My grandfather got on the boat and went off to.
Isn't that crazy?
God knows where. This is before he would join the Navy during World War II,
But I think that is also something that is so defining in who we are as a culture.
Yeah.
My grandfather, one of 22. Growing up, my grandparents raised me, so everyone called my grandpa Bob.
Okay.
His name is Sumner Walton Wilson.
Where did Bob come from?
Because Robert, his older brother, was the ID that he took.
Okay. I love that.
I didn't know that until we tried to get him VA benefits as an older man. Is that crazy? It's crazy. But when it comes to like military families and now, moving every 3 years, being stationed to different places, it takes a different level of organization, and they require somebody that can meet that energy, right?
Yes.
They get orders, they have to get out of there. You have to sell their home or make sure that they can focus on their daily tasks.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to be inundated.
And oftentimes that you're probably doing a lot of stuff if they are PCSing here, that you're showing homes on FaceTime or however, sometimes they're coming to home sight unseen, and that's got to be a lot of pressure.
3 years ago, I had clients, both Air Force, both pilots, recently married, and it was in the heat of COVID market. I think we wrote 9 offers, and our 10th offer was the one that they won. So super hard I've never met them. I've only met them over FaceTime. You get a sense and a feel for who they are. But yes, I was showing them homes on their honeymoon. So you're talking about a 9-hour delay in daytime.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And them trying to be able to enjoy it, but also knowing that they have to come to Annapolis and have a place to live and work. And so you go to the settlement table, they've never even seen the house, you know? That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But it's also a true honor.
Yeah,
And so that year, my first Christmas card was from them.
That's awesome.
And the front was their new home. And the back was their belly full of a baby, which was everything they wanted too. So the fact that you get to be a part of that journey and of that fabric, my gosh, there's not any bigger blessing, really. It's like, and I still share a photo album with them. So they just pop pictures into the shared album on.
Yeah.
And how cool is that? I'm watching their
seeing
little
it,
girl
grow up.
Yes.
And home means so much.
So much.
It means
Birthday
everything.
parties.
Yes.
And a place where family can come.
Yeah, holiday, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Holiday. Yeah, everything. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so I always want to lead with kind of that servant's heart and make sure that I honor those that serve by taking good care of them when they come to me for help in this business. Yeah. And that means partnering with people like you as well, right?
You kind of touched on this a little bit when we talked about Annapolis and the waterfront and the sailing and the boating culture. Oftentimes I hear about, I think there's some confusion for a lot of clients on what's water privileged versus waterfront versus water-oriented communities. Sure. Maybe explain a little bit more about that.
So in our area, I always tell my clients, I mean, depending upon what they're looking for, but being in a community that has water privileges will keep your home values more stable because people move here for the water.
Right.
So having that opportunity to do that is important. So waterfront means exactly what it sounds like. It means your property touches the water, right? And then
you should have access to be able to put a boat there, maybe in some way. Not all the times.
Sometimes that you can't, right? And sometimes that's a benefit to a client that they might be able to be right on the water and have water privileges, but they may not have to pay a waterfront tax bill.
Got it.
So then you think of water privileges. That's a community like Hillsmere. There are waterfront homes in Hillsmere, but I don't have a waterfront home. But I do have, 2 or 3 kayaks and a paddleboard that I use regularly by going down to one of our 3 marinas and launching there.
Right.
And you can head to the beach. You can take your dogs over to a dog park on the South River. So then there's things like Water View, right? And this is one that it's the most broad, but we see it here. And who doesn't want to have a little peek at the water, right? I think you were telling me a story.
Well, we joke. My wife and I, we own a condo in Bethany Beach, and
I am free in August, by the way.
Yes, anytime you want to. Anytime you want to go.
It's on record.
We ended up getting one. There's not a whole lot of in the community that you can't actually see the ocean from your balcony, but ours doesn't show that. But we obviously got a pretty significant discount, probably $175,000 to $200,000 less in price to not be able to see it. But I don't think that's true. I can see the water.
Yeah.
My wife can't. She's not tall enough. But if I stand on my tippy toes and stretch my neck out, I can see just a little bit of blue. So I don't know what people say. I have water view. I have water view.
And there are some homes here, not too far away from where we're taping, which are at Annapolis Town Center where the mall is, or that when they were first on the market 20 some odd years ago, they were water view. Yeah. And I'm thinking, these are in the middle of the parole. Yeah. Where's the water around there?
On the 18th floor, you can see it.
So water view is the most broad, and it's lovely to have, but it really does impact the price point of what you're going to get. So, and then you get into things like flood insurance and flood premiums and things like that. I sit in Hillsmere. I told you I'm not waterfront or water view, but I am in a flood zone.
Okay.
So those are all things that as a realtor you have to keep up on what the rules are so that you can advise your clients in the right ways. But it'll also help you position when it comes to pricing, which I think is one of the most important things in what I do.
You just don't want any surprises, right? When they get through the we're going through the mortgage process, and then we find out, it's in a flood zone. Oh, that's going to cost you $5,000 more a year. Well, that factors into things. All right, I want to get into this. Is I think what a lot of people listening to the podcast that are thinking about buying or selling here, maybe first half of 2026. They want to know what's going on in the Annapolis market. So we're talking about inventory level, pricing trends. What's the competition like? What can you tell them about what's happening right now?
Buckle up.
Buckle up. All right.
No, I'm just teasing. So, traditionally, I think about when I joined the real estate market, 2019, right? Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And in 2019, I think we had about 4+ months of inventory on the market, which they would still consider a seller's market, I believe,
Yeah.
if we were to look at the numbers and things like that. Now, COVID changed everything, but COVID's gone. Here we
Yeah.
are in 2025, and when do you think we'll stop talking about the COVID market?
I don't know, maybe ever. I think it's something that we won't forget about.
It's kind of an anomaly, right? But traditionally, we've been under inventory, right? I think a balanced market is about 6 months of inventory. We're not quite there yet, but I expect that we'll get there. And I think that's what we want, right? When I began my real estate career, you could look at a house and you could even go back for a second look. And 6 months later, you had to make a decision within 10 minutes if it was a home that you loved. And then you had to think about pricing because there were multiple offers.
How much higher am I going to offer above list price?
And where's the appraisal going to come in? And do I have to cover a gap? And can I get inspections? So inventory-wise, we're still low, but we're not frozen. We're not seeing that the market is being flooded with inventory. And I think that we will see rates coming down. I mean, we know we got a little relief.
Yeah, this year we've gotten some relief.
And I think next week we might get a little more.
Right.
But we don't want to go back to the time where rates are so low that it floods the market. You know these numbers, so you ask me the question, but the truth is I call you and I say, okay, where are we and what's going on? But I think that I read like a 1% drop. If the rates went, under that 1% drop, it opens up the market for like 55,000. Now, this is across the United States. New buyers to come into that market.
Yeah.
So if you think competition is stiff now, with our price drop, with our rate drop, now you have more competition and still fewer homes to look at. So what you need to know about the Annapolis market is to be prepared, period. There are some homes that you're like, hey, Heather, I've seen this home. It's been on the market 53 days. Great. That gives us a good opportunity. But if you're looking for that home in, historic Annapolis that's walking distance to the coffee shop and to your kid's school and to your boat, you've got to be prepared. That means you've met with the right lender. They know your finances and you've been pre-qualified.
Right.
That you've already gone through underwriting, because we're still seeing that the right house, positioned well with pricing, with the right updates, is going to get multiple offers.
It's going to move.
So inventory is still low. We're seeing more creep on, right? Because we are a military town too. People do have to move.
Yeah.
People move here for our military and selling, and people move away because they're getting their orders changed. But we're not seeing that there's a lot of middle ground. Some sellers are still not willing to do the work that it takes to position a house properly for the market that we're in. That's why it's important to work with an agent that is knowledgeable and a good advisor, but also not necessarily your best friend where they're just blowing sunshine.
Yeah, you got it.
Your skirt kind of about how to market a house. I think that our market is super resilient. What I've seen is that our prices have gone up, right?
Yeah.
Significantly. I think like 37, 40,
Yeah,
37 to 45%.
in the last 4 or 5, 4 years or so.
And so people are thinking, oh, they're going to drop. I got a call yesterday from a client and a friend, and we'll be listing a home near him. And he's like, I'm all in. I want that house. And I said, well, we're going to come on the market at this price point. What? In this neighborhood, And we're talking about $200,000. He's thinking, well, the market's softened.
Yeah,
sure,
we
I can get that
do
for, a $500,000 price point versus a $775,000 price point. And I had to explain to him that we're not there.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I don't think we're ever going to be there, right? I was not in the business in 2008 when people were upside down in their mortgages. I did own a home and purchased my home in 2004. So I did have to kind of live through value and things like that. I don't think our prices are going to drop dramatically. I think that these prices are here to stay. So you have to be prepared on what comes along with all of that. I had family come down and look at homes in the historic Annapolis district. Price point wise, they were fine. Tax point wise, they weren't.
Right.
You know, so that's where your lender is invaluable to making sure that the money that they're putting out on a monthly basis is comfortable for them with whatever they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think I get oftentimes, I'm sure you answer or ask these questions a lot, is this the right time to buy?
Oh.
Should I buy now or should I wait? You know, should I wait?
Yeah.
And I kind of take a different approach. I'm going to answer that question, but I kind of go a different direction. The first question that I ask them is, you know, how long do you plan on staying in the area?
Right.
You know, like if they're going to move in 2 years, then probably not a good time. Or we talk about finances. Clearly, they need to be approved to get a mortgage. But you know, it's just more than just be able to get a mortgage. Are you going to be comfortable with the payment? Are you going to be comfortable with having a little bit of cash after settlement that you can handle anything that come up?
Right.
If the answers to that are yes, my answer is yes, it is the right time to buy. The idea of trying to time the market is a fool's errand.
Yeah.
You know, as they say. I mean, I think just like the stock market, the way that you make money is by being in the market long term. There's an amazing stat, and I always refer to it as the real estate homes. You're betting against the champ. Okay, you're betting against the champ. The housing is the champ. Since 1941, this is nationally, this is not locally, nationally, since 1941, there have been 7 years where home prices have not gone up. 7 years. So I think the math is like 75 years where it's gone up in that amount of time. 5 of the 7 years were in that 2008 to 2012 timeframe. So 5 years in a row, home prices went down during the real estate bubble. So and we know there's clearly an issue with, the main part of it was lending was too loose and free, and they were building like crazy.
And we've solved for that.
We solved that. So other than those 5-year blip where that happened, there's been 2 years since 1941 where real estate's gone down. So it's almost like the analogy of, you know, I think you look at a lot of times too, folks look and say, well, those years, the last 4 years, like 37 appreciation. Well, I missed out. Well, the answer to that, okay, that'd been great if you had bought 4 years ago. You know, right. That's just like the gym. It would be great if I wish I was going to the gym the last 4 years, but I didn't. But the idea that I'm going to say, well, I'm just not going to go to the gym now, ever, you know,
it's crazy.
Yeah, get to the gym.
Yeah,
get in the housing market, get in appreciation. It's something where you know, it's the number one way in this country to build wealth for the average person, and even the top 1%. A majority of their wealth is in real estate. You know, yes, you can make money in the stock market, but that's you need disposable cash to be able to do that. Everyone's got to live somewhere. Mostly, you've got to have to pay a housing expense. Why not pay it towards something that's going to help benefit you
and your family, right?
Yes.
And the trajectory of what you can do in the future. So I think, you know, we're talking about what's our market like. I think that the Annapolis market is extremely resilient. I think that the demand is not going to go away. People are going to want to live near downtown. People are going to want to live near the water.
Yeah.
That our geography isn't going to change.
Yes.
I do recognize there's global warming and things like that.
But it's hyper local.
The demand is not going to differ extremely from what we have today.
Right.
And so we're finding that buyers are willing to pay for quality updates.
Yeah.
You know, homes that are sitting were probably not priced or positioned well from the beginning, either in updates or pricing, like I said. And homes that are positioned well, they're going to move. I like the feeling of a house taking 3 weeks to 4 weeks to go under contract.
Yeah.
Now, as a seller, I may not love that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel comfortable. But then if we look back over the trajectory, again, of real estate, that's the normal. That's normal.
Yeah.
And that's what we want so that people actually get emotionally connected to a house. Because what we had during COVID
wasn't that's not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every house going on the market in a weekend, and if the house had been on the market a week, what's wrong with that house? Is it haunted?
Exactly.
What's going on? Yeah. Now it's people, it's starting to, it's kind of like mortgage rates. There's a feeling that, wow, mortgage rates are really high. Well, historically, they're actually right where they normally have been. And guess what? The last 3 years, we're about where they've been the last 3 years. In fact, they're the best they've been all year.
Yeah.
And, you can't compare mortgage rates during COVID. The sub 3% mortgage rates were all-time lows. And it's not going to happen again.
I mean, it was fun. I'm not going to say it wasn't.
I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep.
I didn't see my family. I didn't make a holiday event. But I am so glad that those days are over.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we can set up an appointment and see the house, and it's not going to be gone before you get there. I think we were working with somebody, and quite literally, we were on the way to look at a house, and it went to pending. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that those days are gone because it gives our buyers breathing room.
Yeah.
And it gives people the ability to really be thoughtful in what they want, so that if they're only staying for 3 years, they can make the right decision. And if it's a lifelong house for them, they can do that too. I wanted to say one more thing just about our Annapolis market. I want to let people know that it's stable.
Yeah.
I want to let people know it's desirable. I want to let people know it's still competitive. So buyers need to be prepared, and sellers need to work with a strategic partner.
Okay.
And I think that's where, myself with my experience, you with your experience, we're great advisors in that space, which opens up to navigating to great opportunities. And why buy now? Because, I think, too, if you bought today, you wish you bought 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you bought 5 years ago, you probably wish you bought 5 years before that.
Yeah, I wish you bought when my parents bought. Yeah, right. I mean, there's a point, like if we knew everything, we'd be doing something else, right? Yeah, but yeah, I just like the idea that you're not waiting. The gym. I think the gym analogy is perfect. It's like, don't not go to the gym.
I think both of us have had like a personal fitness kind of evolution since I've known you. You've picked up your love for pickleball and brought Denise along with it. And so I've been at Orange Theory now for 2.5 years, and it's amazing what you can learn from just the discipline of going to the gym.
Yeah.
Learn about yourself.
Yeah.
Learn about your abilities to push harder than you expected you could.
Yeah.
Right? And how much sometimes our brain just fucks us all up.
Yeah, you can do it.
But when it comes to, how that works within our business, why buy now? I love this market that we're in today.
Yeah.
There's some great opportunities out there.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part of, not strategically positioning a home is that as a buyer's agent, I can help you get the deal of a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's time to do that right now. So that's why I say, come on, let's get you qualified and let's see what your goals are, because we can find a path there. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, just closed a deal, his budget was like $250,000 in the Annapolis area.
Right.
That's kind of crazy.
That's unbelievable.
But he'll be spending, Christmas in his new house at $237,000. How great is that? But if you wait, you risk, we don't necessarily know what the rates are going to do. We do expect them to come down, but we know that when rates come down, we expect
home prices to go up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we think.
And more competition, absolutely.
And you can always refinance when rates drop instead of giving up
Gannon,
your home
especially.
inspection and offering up a list when the rates go.
Exactly.
Well, you mentioned some sellers maybe overpricing their homes. I'm sure that's one of the big conversations you have when you talk to a potential seller. What are some of the tough truths you have to talk with clients about? Maybe give us an example of things that you have to be. Obviously you're always honest, but what are the things that you're just not blowing smoke? You got to tell them the truth.
Yeah, so that's one of the most important parts of our job, right? I want people to like me, but at the end of the day, I want people to value that I'm a good resource.
Right.
So if I just tell them that this yellow wallpaper that's been there for 14 years with your doilies are amazing, that's probably not going to benefit them out in the open market. So I have to give honest guidance, and that means respectfully, not laying into them about their choices of design, but advising them on creating a neutral palette that will, yield the most amount of people coming in to look at their home.
Do you want
right?
more buyers interested or less buyers?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a really unique small group? No, you want everybody to be able to buy.
You want to cast a really
Sure.
broad net. So from a seller perspective, that's often pricing reality, right? Went to a listing appointment this week, and I told them where I would position the property, and they're like, well, we just bought this new house, and we kind of just wanted to make sure that it was an even trade. Well, that's not the way. You can't back into this. You know, you can't.
Each deal is specific to itself.
Exactly, and the market is uber local. So I said, well, golly day, you always get to be the boss. However, if we start, what's your number is what I said. What's your number? And we were about $50,000 apart from each other. And honestly, in January, February, that number might be perfect. If I'm going to put it on the market today and we have to go through the holidays where we know there are less people out there looking, even for good deals, I think it would be a disservice to put it on that high.
Because then when it's sitting in the market in January, February, it's got that scarlet letter of 60 days on the market.
Yeah. And while they didn't love hearing that, it was logical. And then I also had the comps within their neighborhood to support it. And I could explain how their gem of a home, and it is, can still be a gem, but the positioning of pricing is more important if they want to move the property, right?
Yeah.
If they want to be out of the home owning business in that neighborhood and move to their new home that they purchased.
Sometimes being at a better price could lead to multiple offers.
That's it.
That then could lead to a little bit higher number than you. Just because you start there doesn't mean that it could go higher. But if you go way high above, you're not going to get that.
And as a buyer's agent, that's also something tricky that I've gotten caught by, right? The home's been on the market 45 to 60 days. They do a price adjustment. And now you think, okay, we're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
But that price adjustment opened that net to more buyers. And
it is amazing how those houses that have been on the market a while, your client makes an offer and suddenly there's another offer after it's been on the market for 120 days. You're like, that's weird.
What the heck? But then also from a buyer's side, imagine they're looking at homes on their phone, right? With their thumb. This is how people look for homes today. And they fall in love with something that they can't afford.
Yeah.
You don't want that either, because then they're going to be looking for that house that's outside of their budget. So that's why it's very important too, before you ever go look at a home, that they come and meet with you.
It's like you're reading my mind, Heather. I was going to ask you about that. I mean, how important is a lender and a real estate agent's relationship? How is that make or break? Yeah, make or break for buyers.
And again, this is, I get emotional about what I do. I'm passionate about our jobs.
That's why I love it.
I'm also exhausted by our jobs. Yeah. I'm also exhilarated by our jobs. So, building my network of partners was the hardest thing about building my real estate business. And if you think about it, you're always wondering where the next lead is coming from. But I wasn't as focused on that as I was about building relationships with partners that had, the same moral compass I had, right? That it's not about a transaction. It's really about people and the delight of helping people achieve their dreams, or sometimes the hard truths of knowing that this isn't their dream home, but that's because you don't start necessarily with your dream home.
Not that very rarely.
You start with investing in something. My husband and I, when we bought our first home, it was $110,000. We had a townhome built, and we wouldn't be able to be in our home when we raised our children in Hillsmere and loved the community and, made lifelong friendships with our neighbors if we hadn't started in that townhome, because when we sold that, we made $100,000 off that townhome. Right. I couldn't save up $100,000, so knowing that that's how you build your wealth is also something that I'm super proud of being able to do with the right partners. Yeah. So the same moral compass, I know, like when it comes to you, I love that I know who your family is. I love that your wife brought me a bottle of wine that, might have a name on it that we can't say on the air. But that's because she knows me too.
Yeah, right.
And we care about each other's personal selves.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes us so great at helping our clients, because we value what it feels like to work hard. We value what it feels like to achieve small successes. We value what it feels like to reach that milestone and be able to, raise our hands in celebration.
Well, I don't think too, you mentioned like the building the partner set for yourself as opposed to focusing on leads or like where the next lead is going to come from. Then I think that having a good partnership and having a good process, that's where the next client comes from, because they're so blown away by how in sync everything is that of course they're going to refer you to their next, because at the end of the day, going with the boating theme, you're the captain of the ship. You're always, you've got partners, title company, lender, home inspector, all those things, but you're the captain. And if things go poorly, no matter if you're not involved, it's going to reflect directly on you.
Giovango is a Sicilian name, and you're putting it nicely. But yeah, I'm the throat to choke, right? Who's the throat to choke?
Yeah.
And so I like to build relationships with partners that are accountable for their actions. And that doesn't mean we're going to get it right every time, because we happen to be human.
We're not infallible.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mess up at least like 42 times a day. Yeah. But don't tell my husband that. But that's fine. It's fine to mess up.
Yeah.
What are we going to do from there? And that's where you've been the best partner. Every phone call that I've ever gotten that is not positive news from you. Yeah. There's never a time that you didn't say, and here's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we're figuring out before we call. I mean, we try not to make a lot of those calls. and sometimes, people make mistakes. And other times there's things that come up that are not mistakes that just...
You never even knew about.
Maybe it's a low appraisal or, whatever it might be that is now put a roadblock in front of it. It's how do we figure out a path to move on with that?
And I think something about like our relationship, we sit down quarterly and we talk about our own goals. Yeah. But then we always have that special client, that special need. And because of the trust that we've built, I know that I can be honest about what their needs may be, and that you'll likely have 3 or 4 different solutions of what they could do. Yeah. And even if it's not the buy now thing, because there are times when people would love to buy a home and they don't have a down payment, or they don't have, the credit that they need. Well, you can help them there too. And that means that while they didn't buy today, in a year and a half, they're going to be so well positioned and know the process to be able to achieve their goals. So that's a really important part of our business as well, is that, keep communication going, keep trust going, take it seriously, because when you start to erode that trust, that's when everything falls apart. So from us meeting and kind of understanding where the market is, where the inventory is, where the rates are, how that's going to show up next quarter and the quarter after that, that gives our clients that much more of an advantage in the competitive market that we're going to continue to be in our area.
When sticking with lending here a little bit, when you have a client, a buyer that comes in that's already been pre-approved with a lender, what are some red flags that when they come in and show you that letter that gives you a little heartburn? And
I mean, I recognize that COVID was life-changing when it comes to Zoom meetings and online presence and things like that. But I still truly believe that heart-to-heart, eye-to-eye conversations are the very best. So when people are like, yeah, I got this off the internet. I was pre-approved. Oh, really? Tell me a little bit about that. Yeah, I just put in some information on the internet. I got this letter. Here it is. Yeah. And it's like, okay, did they ask for your pay stubs? Did they ask for bank accounts? Did they ask? No. Okay. So I'm not going to put down some of the online companies. Sometimes they've done a great job. Yeah. And sometimes they've led people down a path.
Well, in those situations, you're depending on that the client input the accurate information. I mean, they not knowingly putting wrong information, but they're not understanding how something might be calculated. They put that in, and they literally, you're right, they sometimes will issue a letter sight unseen. I mean, that's why when an offer gets submitted, you let me know when the offer submitted. I call the listing agent and I let them know, hey, this is all the stuff we've done. So because the approval is worth the cost of the paper they send over. You need to back that up with something that gives a comfort level. We all often lean into local lenders, and I think that's important. I mean, listen, the world's changed. The secret, you don't necessarily need to be, but you need a comfort level.
Yes.
Especially, well, if there's multiple offers, certainly, but even. No one wants to waste 3 weeks of their time, 3 weeks of money for the seller, 3 weeks of money for the buyer, and everyone's time on something that's not going to work. Or, the other one I run into too is that sometimes I hear about buyers looking at houses and then they go to make an offer, then they get the numbers and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Yeah. Well, I'm shocked that that
they hadn't seen those numbers before.
Yes. I mean, that's the first thing that we talk about is I talk about purchase power, which is the most you can qualify for, but we zero in on comfort level. What's your max monthly payment going to be? Mm-hmm. And we direct them in a direction. I mean, obviously things could be a little bit up or down based on, tax a little higher. Maybe there's a little bit higher HOA, but generally speaking, they should be looking at homes that fits what they're looking for most.
Yeah. And that's another part of my business is to look at systems within a property as well, right? And be able to say, okay, we're going to have to budget for this. But just like you're talking about that purchase power where people have been given a letter of the amount that they can afford without ever thinking
with no idea on what the payments are.
Yeah. And that I have to travel an hour to work and then that cost of parking at work and then I was going to get a dog and now I have a dog and then I have a dog sitter. Like you listen to what somebody is really wanting out of their life. And because of your knowledge and background, you can put all of those things together to ensure that they're comfortable month to month, that they're going to be able to eat, have the lights on, and pay the mortgage payment, right?
Yeah.
And still be able to put a little money away to go to Mexico or whatever, So I'm really grateful for our partnership.
Me too. All right, Heather. The time is now. We're getting ready to our favorite part of the show, or I get a lot of the calls that I get or messages I get from folks that listen are always trying to give me new ideas for the part. You're getting ready to enter the Gannon Gauntlet, which is a rapid fire series.
I thought we were gonna have like a hot dog eating contest or something.
That's later. That's on like the uncut version or something that comes in later. We're gonna clips, but. So the Gannon Gauntlet's a series of fun questions off the cuff. Just give you some answers on. Now, I'm also thinking, I don't know if people know this, but your husband John is in a band, Mission Radio. Yeah. So maybe I'm going to talk to him. I feel like the Gannon Gauntlet needs like a theme song, like an intro. So like maybe bring
that energy
in post production. Maybe we'll have a Gannon Gauntlet song. But
I did just have a client give me a flute, and I was a flautist, so. Maybe a little Joe Cocker like
a flat. I don't know. Is that correct? A flautist?
I think it is.
Okay, well, I don't know. That's awesome. Well, what I think
I'm really good with the tambourine though. That might be more up the alley. Yeah,
I play the triangle, but so what we're going to do with this one, there, it does get a little. There's a lot of lights flashing. There's a lot of excitement with the questions. So we're going to now start doing the Gannon Gauntlet with the Gannon Gauntlet glasses. So put your glasses on. Okay.
Wow.
Are you ready for the Gannon Gauntlet?
Ready.
All right. Describe Annapolis in 3 words.
Home, sweet home.
Love it. Give me your favorite local event or festival.
All right. There's so much here that I love.
There really is.
But one day that I look forward to every year, May Day. Downtown Annapolis, May Day. I've picked up like clients that are not ambulatory, can't walk well, and like we'll go tour places just through the car, give them a little tea, give them a little sandwich, because in a downtown Annapolis they do the front doors with flowers.
There's flowers, right? The May Day flowers.
Yeah,
okay.
And there's a maypole down there. It's the best day in Annapolis. Take the day off, go downtown, walk our streets, grab lunch at a local place. My favorite thing.
I've already booked my day off that day, so that's the one day a year. Maybe now you can't call me. I'm going to be at May Day.
Awesome, do it.
All right. I don't know if you might see it on social media, but I have quite a few real estate agent events where I invite realtors to do some fun things. And Heather is quite a party animal. She's at most of my events. I'm going to ask you, what has been your favorite Hanging with Gannon event?
So tough. So you do have the very best events. I love them. Thank you for being thoughtful and thinking about them. Yeah. I did love the first cooking event that you had.
Yeah, the pasta.
I loved learning how to make gnocchi.
Yeah.
And even on like Christmas Day, I said to my husband, I'm going to teach you how to make gnocchi today. And then my client gave me some sage so we could have brown butter sage. Great event. But I think my favorite one, maybe because I am that party animal, was at the Parley Room.
Yes,
I was talking about that last night. What I loved about it was not just the yummy cocktails. Yes. Thank you so much. And delicious food. But I love being able to learn something new. So that's what you always bring is like, I don't want to just do something to do something or just go out and get drinks. It's really fun to be able to learn how to do something, take that back to your family and friends and kind of be the rock star.
The knowledge he was giving us on the history of the different liquors and tequila and all. I'm hooked. That margarita. I like to kind of think of myself as a margarita connoisseur, but this is I'm. He's got me on clean margaritas. Like I'm definitely. It makes
a difference.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah. All right, next question.
Okay.
What is your favorite local charity or cause?
Oh gosh, there are so many places where you can put your time, energy, monies. My favorite is the Bernie House.
Yeah.
I sit on the board of the Bernie House. The Bernie House is a charity that is run by Patty Slaughter. I happen to think she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing steward of the funds that she's entrusted with. But what they do is they change the lives of people that have been impacted by domestic violence. Mm-hmm. And, glasses aside, domestic violence impacts every creed, nationality, age, economic status. It's unfortunate that we're all impacted by it. And I feel so fortunate to be a part of the board and really to be able to see the difference that the Bernie House makes. We have a lot of great charities in our area, and I'm happy to contribute to many of them. But the Bernie House takes a person, a family, and they provide a stable environment, not just for living, but they train them financially. They work through mental health. Mm-hmm. Because when it comes to domestic violence, it's so easy for people that are not entwined in it to just be like, well, why don't they just leave?
Right.
But there's so much that is tied into just leaving. It's the financial of how you're going to take care of your kids and where's the next meal coming from. And if you sleep in your car, how are your kids going to, get ready for school? Those are things that I don't have to think about on a daily basis, but they're not far removed from where I am. So the Bernie House provides that safe space where women and children can really get their footing. But then it's been awesome to watch them absolutely thrive. We have 2 women that have purchased homes of their own. Uh-huh. How fucking cool is that?
That is awesome.
It's so awesome. And I'll show you before I leave pictures of their kids decorating their Christmas tree in their very own home with their very own room.
That's incredible.
That has a refrigerator where they can keep ice cream because they couldn't do that in their car. Like that's real world stuff.
Well, we're going to have, when this comes, I'm going to figure out a way. I don't do all the technical parts of it. We're gonna have a link on there. Beautiful. To try to where if anyone wants to give, especially around the holiday season.
And thank you because you have supported the Bernie House in the past through Chesapeake Real Producers and selling bouquets. We were
Denise, I think it was Denise and I. We were people were drinking and we were getting them to raise their donations.
And honestly, our next event is is February 14th.
Okay.
And we generally have a Mardi Gras ball,
Yeah.
but this year we're doing a Hats and Hatters, and I'd love for you and Denise to be
we'll be
guests
there.
at my table.
We're absolutely will be there.
Awesome. It's a nice little way to have Valentine's Day filled for be. I don't know if Denise will love it, but we'll make it special for her. It'll be so great. And your outfits, I know already that you'll be on time. So the Bernie House is great. There are so many things that people do on a regular basis, but we're happy for your support. Being a part of that team has changed my life in realizing that we can all make a difference, and little tiny gestures of just being present for somebody can make the whole difference in their lives. So dive in.
Love it. All right, we're gonna this one, when I put this together, this actually made me chuckle.
Okay. Where are we going here?
If you had Heather, if you had a theme song for showing homes, what would it be?
You kind of alluded to this. So then I started to think, like, making my way in the world today takes everything I've got. What I didn't know when I looked at those lyrics is that it goes into like some really negative stuff.
Okay.
But you do want to go and be in a place where everyone knows your name, right? That's what it should feel like when you go home. It should just feel that comfortable
Norm,
presence.
you walk in, right? Yeah.
And
Norm.
then I also thought of like The Lion King and Be Prepared, right? Because there's a lot that you don't know about. Real estate is it's a totally, when I became a realtor, I thought I was learning like a new language.
Right.
But I did think of one. So let me look at my notes just really quickly because I thought this one wrapped it up nicely. Oh, no. I'm such a dorky kid. I had a white record player and I had 2 albums. One was Annie, fantastic musical. And then one was The Hobbit. So I think that my theme song, if we didn't have Mission Radio create a specific one for us, it would be like, the greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Look it up. I know I don't do it justice, but it's from The Hobbit. And it's like,
so this is the first episode we've had singing on. So I'm really enjoying this.
This is how my brain works. It's scary in there, Pat.
You're gonna understand my scary brain. So I don't show houses. So, but I think if I have a song, and I don't know why it keeps going back to pickleball, but if I have a tournament or like a pickleball match with some weight to it, where I need to fire myself up, I have a song I listen on the car ride.
Okay.
It's The Best Around by Joe Bean Esposito. And if you remember the song, the movie The Karate Kid.
I want to hear it.
When you're the best around, no one's ever gonna keep you down. You're the best.
It.
So there's that scene where Daniel's going against Cobra Kai at the All Valley Under 18 karate tournament. I listen to that to get myself in a mode, and like even in the parking lot, and then I get out and
and then you just slay it.
Then I play pickleball.
That's
awesome.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
I didn't know I was going to be singing on the podcast. All right, the last one here. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened during a home tour?
Well, so it's snowing today that we record, and I can remember, here you are, you're professional, you're trying to act like the expert, and certainly in the snow, like not just falling on your tail, but like then sliding another 15 feet down the hill just to have your buyer clients kind of be like, oh my gosh, is she okay? Do I laugh? Do I help? What do I do? So that's happened for sure. But I think like the funniest / weirdest thing was always read the instructions when you go into any listing, because we went into a listing and I looked around. I was just previewing it. I didn't have any clients with me. I was with another agent. She had made the appointment. And I was like, man, there's a half-eaten peanut butter and jelly sandwich here. Like, it looks like someone just left. Then we went upstairs and there were people still there. And so you just kind of open the door on them.
Yeah.
Then you shut the door on them.
Oh my gosh.
And you get the heck out of there as fast as possible.
You run away.
So that I've fallen. I've been scared by a mouse and like screamed and jumped into my client's arms.
You need like a body cam when you go into these things, so we could have you could share these.
Share those things. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Heather. You have survived the Gannon gauntlet. You can take the glasses off. Woo. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up here. I want to thank you. And I think this turned out amazing, and I knew it would. I said before, this is going to be just like our phone conversations that we have, where we do this on the phone with each other. So this is exactly what it was. Heather, I want you to let the audience know, what is the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
So you've heard by now, like, I may not be the very best singer, not the most talented, but there's always a song in my head. So just remember my name, Giovingo. Giovango is my name-o. And from there's not a lot of us in Annapolis. So I'm with Church Circle. 443-254-1074 is my phone number. Email, Heather Makes It Happen. All those ways you can.
And we'll have that on the site. People will be able to get to that as well. Beautiful. So we'll make sure they have it.
Thank you, Pat. I know that you've had folks come on here that are, have been in the business longer than I am, that do a lot more business than I do. I'm super honored to be here with you. I'm super grateful for the partnership that we have. I'm super grateful for the clients that you've not only helped get into their homes, but helped them thrive on a regular basis. And let's do some more.
Yeah. And thank you for being on. Episode 5 is wrapping up. Episode 6 will be on its way soon. But thanks for listening. And thanks for hanging with Gannon.